In 21 days, I was in Kailash. I took one strand of what is there on that mountain. You won't believe. In 2.5 hours, I was almost 10 to 15 years younger.
Thousands have stood atop Everest, yet not a single human soul has ever reached the summit of Mount Kailash. For centuries, this peak was a sacred mystery, but those who dared to cross the sacred line returned as different people. They reported hair and nails growing inches in hours, their bodies rapidly decaying as if they had aged decades in a single afternoon. Now, Chinese monks have finally broken their silence, revealing a truth so disturbing it defies modern science. From shifting magnetic fields to a humming ancient pyramid, the evidence is terrifying. What is this mountain truly hiding? Join us as we journey to the center of the world. Why no one has ever climbed Mount Kailash. When you think of strange things in the world, you don't have to look very far. Mount Kailash sits right at the top of the list. For years, people have tried to climb this mysterious mountain, but no one has ever reached the summit. Not once. Except, according to legend, for a single man many centuries ago. Even the most experienced climbers have turned back, and scientists still cannot fully explain why. But now, something unusual has surfaced. A group of Chinese monks has revealed claims that may finally shed light on the mystery surrounding Mount Kailash. Could this explain why the mountain has remained untouched for so long? We all answer that, but first, we need to understand what Mount Kailash truly represents. For centuries, Mount Kailash has been regarded as one of the most sacred places on the planet. 4 major religions revere this mountain. In Hinduism, Mount Kailash is believed to be the home of Lord Shiva, the powerful deity known as the destroyer and transformer of the universe. Buddhists see the mountain as the dwelling place of Demchok, the Buddha who represents supreme bliss. Followers of Jainism believe it is the very spot where their first Tirthankara, Rishabhadeva, attained enlightenment. And in the ancient Bon religion, the mountain is seen as the center of spiritual power. Because of this spiritual significance, Mount Kailash has always been treated differently from other peaks. But beyond religion and devotion, the mountain has also built a reputation for something far stranger. For decades, people who have visited the region have reported unusual experiences. Strange sounds echoing across the valley. Powerful winds that seem to appear without warning. Stories of climbers suddenly turning back, unable to explain why they felt an overwhelming urge to stop. Mount Kailash has become known as one of the very few mountains in the world that has never been climbed. In 2001, the Chinese government officially banned all climbing expeditions to the mountain. From that moment forward, no one was allowed to attempt the summit again. But the real question is why? Why would a mountain that stands lower than many peaks in the Himalayas remain untouched for centuries? Part of the answer lies in the mountain's sacred status. Many believers feel that climbing Kailash would be disrespectful, even dangerous. For them, the mountain is not meant to be conquered. It is meant to be honored. Yet the deeper mystery comes from the strange events surrounding those who tried to climb it. According to legend, the only person who ever reached the summit was a Tibetan Buddhist monk named Milarepa in the 11th century. Milarepa was said to possess extraordinary spiritual powers, and stories claim he was able to reach the peak through meditation and supernatural abilities rather than physical strength. Every attempt since then has ended the same way. Failure. Many climbers have started the journey with confidence, only to encounter sudden storms, violent winds, or unexplained physical exhaustion. Others have reported strange sensations as they climbed higher. Some described sudden weakness. Others felt overwhelming fear that seemed to come out of nowhere. Locals who live near the mountain believe these events are no coincidence. They believe Mount Kailash protects itself. To them, the mountain holds a spiritual force that prevents humans from stepping on its summit. Some climbers have even claimed that something invisible seemed to push them back. There have also been reports of sudden illnesses during climbing attempts, equipment failing without warning, and in some cases, climbers who attempted the ascent reportedly passed away within a few years of their expedition. One of the most well-known attempts came from Russian mountaineer Sergei Chistyakov during the 1980s. As he climbed higher toward the summit, something strange happened. Without warning, he began to feel extremely weak. His heart started racing, and he became disoriented. An intense feeling of fear took over, something he could not explain. Later, he described the moment as if the mountain itself were warning him to turn back. And he did. Another attempt happened in 2001, when a Spanish climbing team was briefly granted permission to attempt the summit. But their expedition never made it far. Sudden avalanches and severe weather forced them to abandon the climb. Since then, no one has tried again. So the question remains, is Mount Kailash truly forbidden to humans? Or is there something else happening here that we simply do not understand yet? Some scientists believe there may be a natural explanation. They suggest the mountain could sit in a region with unusual magnetic activity. Others point to the extreme altitude and lack of oxygen, which can cause hallucinations, confusion, and severe physical stress. But even these explanations do not fully account for everything that has been reported. And the mysteries of Mount Kailash do not end with its unreachable summit. In fact, one of the strangest claims surrounding the mountain has nothing to do with climbing at all. It has to do with time. Visitors to the region have long spoken about a bizarre phenomenon often described as rapid aging. People who spend time near Mount Kailash have reported that their hair and nails seem to grow much faster than normal. Some claim that their bodies appear to age more quickly during their stay. According to these accounts, spending just a week near the mountain can feel like spending an entire month somewhere else. Scientists have tried to understand this claim, but so far there is no clear explanation. Some theories suggest that the mountain's unique location and possible magnetic fields could affect the human body in ways we do not yet understand. Others believe the harsh environment, combined with the effects of high altitude, may accelerate certain biological processes. But these ideas still leave many questions unanswered. For spiritual seekers, however, the explanation is very different. Many believe Mount Kailash is not just a mountain at all. They believe it may be a gateway. In Hindu mythology, Kailash is often described as the center of the universe, a place where time and space intersect. Some believe the sacred energy surrounding the mountain could influence the flow of time itself. If that were true, it could explain why so many unusual experiences seem to happen there. Could Mount Kailash exist in a place where the normal rules of time and reality do not fully apply? No one knows for sure. But the strange reports of time moving differently and people aging faster are only part of the mystery surrounding Mount Kailash. So what else is hiding in those mountains? Stick with us to find out. The hidden mysteries at the foot of Mount Kailash. At the base of Mount Kailash sit two lakes that seem to mirror the mountain's mystery. They are only a few kilometers apart, yet they could not be more different. One is calm, pure, and full of life. The other is dark, salty, and strangely lifeless. The first is Lake Manasarovar, one of the highest freshwater lakes in the world. For centuries, pilgrims have traveled great distances just to reach its shores. The water is clear and peaceful, and many believe that bathing in it washes away sins and brings spiritual renewal. The lake itself is almost perfectly round, often seen as a symbol of the sun. Around its edges, birds gather, wildlife moves freely, and the landscape feels alive. To many who visit, Manasarovar feels calm, almost welcoming. But just beside it lies a lake with a completely different reputation. That lake is Rakshas Tal. Unlike Manasarovar, Rakshas Tal is a saltwater lake. Its waters are harsh, and almost nothing can survive in them. There are no fish, very little plant life, and the lake carries a reputation that has unsettled visitors for centuries. According to ancient legend, Rakshas Tal was created by the demon king Ravana. The story says he once meditated there for years, trying to gain immense power from Lord Shiva. Even today, many believe the energy left behind from those rituals still lingers in the lake. While Manasarovar feels peaceful, Rakshas Tal is often described as restless and uneasy. For years, this contrast has puzzled scientists. How can two lakes so close together behave so differently? Some researchers believe it may come down to geological differences beneath the ground. Others suggest underground water flows may feed the lakes in different ways. But for many who visit the region, the explanation feels far more spiritual. They believe the mountain itself influences everything around it, and the mysteries surrounding Kailash do not stop with its lakes. In fact, some of the most important rivers in Asia begin right here, near this very mountain. From the region around Mount Kailash, 4 major rivers emerge and begin their long journeys across the continent. These rivers are the Brahmaputra, the Indus, the Karnali, and the Sutlej. Each of them eventually travels thousands of kilometers, passing through multiple countries and supporting millions of people along the way. Together, these rivers provide water to nearly half of Asia's population. Some people describe Mount Kailash as the heart of the region, while the rivers flow outward like veins carrying life across the land. Geographically, this is extremely rare. Very few places in the world serve as the source for so many major rivers. The phenomenon has fascinated both scientists and historians for generations. But again, for many believers, this is not just geography. It is something far more symbolic. To them, the mountain is a sacred center from which life itself flows, and for visitors who make the long pilgrimage to Kailash, the mountain sometimes reveals other strange experiences. Many travelers have spoken about hearing a mysterious sound echoing around the area. Some say it resembles the sacred Om, the ancient sound believed to represent the vibration of the universe. Others describe it as sounding like a damru, the small drum associated with Lord Shiva. The sound seems to come from deep within the mountain itself. Sometimes it is faint. Other times it carries clearly across the valleys. Scientists believe these sounds could be caused by natural forces, such as wind passing through the mountain's rocky formations or the movement of melting ice. But those who come to Kailash for spiritual reasons see it very differently. To them, the sound feels like a sign, something ancient, something sacred. And the mountain's mysteries do not stop there. At sunset, observers have noticed something even more unusual. As the sun begins to drop behind the peaks, the shadow of Mount Kailash sometimes forms the shape of a swastika, a symbol that has been sacred in Hindu culture for thousands of years. Long before modern history changed its meaning in other parts of the world, the swastika represented balance, prosperity, and good fortune. Many pilgrims see this shadow as another reminder of the mountain's spiritual power. Even the snow on Kailash seems to create patterns that deepen the mystery. When snow settles across its slopes, some people believe the shape resembles the sacred Om symbol itself. For believers, this feels like more than coincidence. It feels like the mountain is quietly reflecting the spiritual traditions connected to it. Because of all these phenomena, many people have come to see Mount Kailash as more than just a physical landmark. They believe it is something much greater. In ancient traditions, the mountain is often called the Axis Mundi, the center of the world. According to old texts and spiritual teachings, the Axis Mundi is the place where heaven and earth connect. It is believed to be a point where different realms meet, a bridge between the physical world and something beyond it. Mount Kailash holds this meaning for 4 different religions. For Hindus, it is the home of Lord Shiva. For Buddhists, it is the dwelling of Demchok, the Buddha representing supreme bliss. For followers of Jainism, it marks the place where their first Tirthankara reached enlightenment. And for the ancient Bon religion, it remains the central point of spiritual power. But beyond belief and tradition, the mountain's location itself has sparked curiosity. Some researchers have noticed something unusual about the distances between Mount Kailash and other important locations on Earth. The mountain sits roughly 6,666 kilometers from places like Stonehenge, the North Pole, and the South Pole. To some people, this number feels like more than coincidence. It has led to theories that Mount Kailash may sit at a kind of energetic center of the planet, a place where natural forces somehow balance. Others, of course, see it simply as a coincidence created by geography. Still, the question continues to linger. Is Mount Kailash truly some kind of cosmic center? Or is it simply a powerful symbol created by centuries of human belief and imagination? No one knows for certain. But one thing is clear. Mount Kailash continues to inspire awe, curiosity, and deep fascination for everyone who hears its story. And the deeper people look into its mysteries, the more questions seem to appear. Because if the mountain truly holds secrets beyond what we understand today, then the revelations coming from those Chinese monks might only be the beginning. But if you think everything you've heard so far is shocking, wait till you hear this. Is Mount Kailash actually a giant pyramid? In 1999, a theory emerged that pushed the mystery of this mountain into an entirely new direction. A Russian scientist named Ernst Muldashev and his research team traveled to the region and returned with a claim that stunned many people. According to their observations, Mount Kailash might not be a natural mountain at all. Instead, they suggested something far more unbelievable. They believed Mount Kailash could actually be a massive, ancient pyramid. Muldashev pointed to the mountain's shape as one of the reasons behind this idea. From certain angles, Kailash appears unusually symmetrical, with sharply defined faces that resemble the structure of pyramids found in other parts of the world. He also claimed that the mountain is surrounded by several smaller formations that resemble pyramids as well, almost like a complex built around a central structure. But what made the expedition even stranger were the sounds his team reported hearing. During their time near the mountain, Muldashev said they heard unusual noises echoing through the area. At times it sounded like stones falling deep inside the mountain, as if something were shifting within it. To him, these sounds suggested that Mount Kailash might be hollow or structured in a way that natural mountains usually are not. He went even further. Muldashev proposed that the mountain might have been built by an ancient civilization with technology far more advanced than anything we normally associate with ancient history. According to his theory, Mount Kailash could have once been part of a vast network of sacred sites around the world. He pointed to the alignment between Kailash and other famous locations, such as the pyramids of Egypt and Machu Picchu. To him, these connections were not random. They were signs that these places might have been deliberately positioned across the earth, forming a kind of global spiritual or energetic grid. Of course, many scientists remain skeptical of this idea. Most geologists still believe Mount Kailash is a natural formation, shaped by millions of years of geological processes. But even so, the pyramid theory added yet another layer of intrigue to a mountain that already seemed surrounded by mystery. Because if Mount Kailash were ever proven to be artificial, it would completely change what we think we know about ancient civilizations. And strangely enough, even modern geological studies have uncovered something unusual about the mountain. Many people assume Mount Kailash is simply another peak in the Himalayan range. But studies of the rock formations tell a different story. The rocks that form Mount Kailash are actually older than many of the surrounding Himalayan mountains. That discovery has raised new questions about how the region formed and how the Tibetan Plateau developed over time. In some ways, Mount Kailash appears to stand apart from the mountains around it, both in structure and in age. For scientists studying the geology of the region, this difference makes Kailash especially fascinating. But for spiritual pilgrims, it only strengthens the belief that the mountain has always been something special. And every year, thousands of people make a long and difficult journey to experience that spiritual connection for themselves. They come to take part in something known as the Kora. The Kora is a sacred pilgrimage that involves walking around the entire base of Mount Kailash. This journey, known as the Outer Kora, forms a full circumambulation around the mountain. For many pilgrims, completing this route is a powerful spiritual achievement, but the Outer Kora is only the beginning. There is another route known as the Inner Kora, and this one is far more challenging. Unlike the Outer Kora, the Inner Kora takes travelers much closer to the mountain itself. The terrain becomes steeper, the paths more dangerous, and the physical demands far greater. Interestingly, the Inner Kora does not circle Mount Kailash directly. Instead, it goes around a smaller nearby peak known as Nandi Parvat. Even experienced pilgrims describe this route as extremely difficult. Because of the risks involved, the Chinese government tightly controls who is allowed to attempt the Inner Kora. Pilgrims must first complete the Outer Kora 12 times before they are even considered eligible. And even then, permission is usually granted only to certain monks or individuals who receive special spiritual approval. The restrictions also serve another purpose. Completing the Outer Kora multiple times allows pilgrims to slowly adjust to the region's extreme altitude and low oxygen levels. The gradual preparation helps the body adapt before attempting the far more demanding inner route. For many pilgrims, reaching Kailash is not about conquering a mountain. It is about patience, devotion, and endurance. Yet the strange stories connected to this region continue to grow. For centuries, people living in the Himalayas have spoken about sightings of a mysterious creature known as the Yeti. Described as a large, snow-covered humanoid figure, the Yeti is said to roam the remote areas of the mountains, far from human settlements. Some explorers have claimed to find enormous footprints in the snow that seem too large to belong to any known animal. Skeptics often dismiss these stories as folklore, but others believe the creature could represent an undiscovered species that has managed to remain hidden in the vast and rugged terrain of the Himalayas. And the strange discoveries around Mount Kailash do not stop there. Satellite images taken from space have revealed something else that caught people's attention. In certain lighting conditions, a shadow appears on the slopes of the mountain that resembles the shape of a meditating figure. For many believers, this image looks strikingly similar to depictions of Lord Shiva, the very deity many believe resides at Mount Kailash. To them, the image feels like another symbol connecting the mountain to ancient spiritual traditions. Whether these sightings are natural coincidences or something more mysterious remains open to interpretation. But with every story, every theory, and every unexplained observation, the legend of Mount Kailash only grows stronger. Because despite centuries of study and exploration, the mountain continues to hold on to its secrets. Mount Kailash remains one of the most mysterious places on Earth. Its summit remains untouched, its slopes remain sacred, and the strange phenomena surrounding it continue to captivate scientists, adventurers, and spiritual seekers from around the world. Some see it as a sacred mountain blessed with divine power. Others believe it could be a cosmic center connecting different realms. And a few even wonder if it might be an ancient structure built by a civilization we have long forgotten. But whatever the truth may be, one thing remains certain. Mount Kailash is not just another mountain rising from the earth. It is a place where mystery, history, and belief come together. And for now, its greatest secrets remain hidden among the clouds. Do you think Mount Kailash is a gateway to another dimension? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, click the next video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.